All right, guys, welcome back to the Off Court Podcast, episode 13.
All right.
The paddle podcast covering all your paddle needs. We are your hosts. This is Connor. I'm Hugh. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us today, wherever it is you're doing that from, YouTube, Spotify, or any other platform. Thank you so much. Today, we are diving into the Qatar Major, the first major of the season.
I know, right? Exciting times. We
Exciting
had
times.
an opportunity for a lot of players to grab a lot of points.
Yeah.
And, it felt like even though Stupa and LeBron weren't playing in this one, Coello and Tapia did come back. So we're getting a little bit of fluctuation
We got the
players.
Classico, the Paddle Classico again, which was nice to see. And it was a tournament of comebacks.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy results, very entertaining and unexpected games,
I know.
which was nice. An amazing venue as well. And
they went all out on it. They kind of went. I mean, it's Qatar, right? At the end of the day,
But it was kind of nice to see, wasn't it? Like apart from the whole sandstorm and wind,
Mission
scare.
Impossible style, fucking wall of sand coming
Gotta
towards
play
you.
With like a
Dude,
full
literally.
Fremen outfit going on.
Dude, these guys, oh my God. Well, we'll get into it. Obviously, outdoor tournaments have been kind of like a touchy subject.
And the season 2025 Premier Paddle hasn't started amazing in that sense with Riyadh and like a bunch of other problems.
Santiago. It's part of it, I guess, outdoor tournaments.
Yeah.
But, before we get into it, let's do our normal catch up.
Yes.
How's everything, Hugh?
Little
Tell us.
icebreaker. Good. Paddle wise, I'm feeling confident on the court. Building up my confidence on the forehand.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm really enjoying. I've made the decision
Back on the right side.
Yeah, whenever I play backhand for whatever reason, because just to switch it up and stuff, I feel a lot less confident, and it feels a bit strange.
I mean, what made you switch back to the right side?
Because, well, the main reason is that every time I go on a Playtomic game or, with randoms, everyone's playing backhand.
Yeah.
Even
sure.
on their description is like, prefer playing on the left.
Yeah.
Like, everyone does. So I was like, if I learn to play on the forehand, which I think suits better my play style, because I don't think I'm a very... I can give some power when it's needed, but I'm not like that. And I'm really good. I think my strength is lobbing and playing off the glass. I'm quite agile in that sense. So
we were playing yesterday. Hugh likes to pick on me and make me run a lot and make me run to the back glass and lob me every time.
It was a very good game, though. Very good game.
Yeah, it was a good pairing. Shame that our fourth player doesn't live here, but we'll find someone else to fill it in. But it's a good combination of people. But I'm 3 weeks, 4 weeks since I've started playing again since my injury. It's all good down there. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, for those, I don't think anyone really cares, but I'm recovering like a ruptured ligament, which is kind of crazy. But taking it slow. Have to wear this little ankle support thing. Yeah. Kind of cute vibes. Get to accessorize a little bit more, but it's good. All I care about is that I'm playing, and I'm not trying to push myself too much, but it feels good that I'm getting back into the groove.
You were playing really well. I was just telling Connor before how his backhand volley's been getting way better.
Yeah,
sort
honestly.
of like he's looking a bit like Yanguas
right
now.
The ball's dying at the back.
With that nice buried ball to the glass.
Most of the time it goes in the net, but
which is a very important shot for forehand players such as you and I. So,
honestly. I think that's why I asked you. There's something about it. Like, I like playing aggressive. You know me, I like if there's an easy ball to smash, even if I shouldn't smash in a situation and should just kill it in the bag. There's something about the right side I like. I like defending on the right side as well when I'm back in the corner on the glass as well. And that's just what suits me right now. And then I feel like if I play on the left now, it feels too fish out of water. So I think I've screwed myself over a little bit playing on the right too much.
But it's not a bad thing to establish yourself, and especially if you're playing with the same people over and over again kind of thing. If you've got a partner that you play with a lot, it's kind of good. And as I said, at our level, in an amateur level, most people want to play on the left because
I know, right?
Because most people, it's where they feel most comfortable, and they've got their dominant hand in the middle, and that's where Tapia and Galan and if you're not left-handed, that's where the stars play. So everyone wants to play on the forehand.
So we're just the most humble.
We're just very humble. That's the
humblest, as they say.
That's the takeaway from this.
But besides that, everything's all good, man. So
let's get into it.
Let's get into the episode. Let's go. Initial thoughts, initial vibes. You mentioned it was kind of a bit of a spectacle. For those that don't know, the sport Premier Padel is backed by the Qatari Sports Investment Group. So I think they put on a great show. The stadium that they were playing in Doha was incredible. They tried to put, I don't know if that's permanent there, but they tried to put some like wind blockers. I don't know if that's a thing there. No. Yeah, around the stadium it looks like they tried to build up higher just to stop the wind.
I see.
Just we won't get into it too much, but yeah. The first few days of the tournament were plagued by some pretty nasty weather conditions.
When there's a court 5 game going on and all they have is like a static camera.
They put like one webcam that looks like it's flying on a kite, dude.
Yeah, and those Arctic documentaries when there's like a little camera filming this like scientific base and there's like a blizzard going on and it's like super shaky. That's what it felt like.
I remember like putting the stream on and it was literally just like fucking shaking everything. The audio was like unlistenable. I was just like,
come on.
Yeah, it's unwatchable. It's actually unwatchable. And we're not even talking about the players playing in those conditions. I know they have to adapt and everything, but a tournament that puts a bit of stress. No one wants to lob. No one wants to play as if they were playing at their 100%, and they have to adapt like that. But a major with weather conditions, another tournament with slightly controversial weather conditions. You can't control it, but maybe you should play majors indoors. I don't know what the solution is.
It wasn't terrible.
No, towards the quarters,
all
semis,
things
and
considered.
Finals. Yeah, I think we're just the nerds complaining about like round 32.
No, but I think it's good to talk about as well. And I mean, one of the main things of this tournament was the missing Stupa LeBron. The number 3 seeds were not playing.
I know.
Due to an injury from Stupa.
Well, do you know what it is, the injury?
I don't know exactly.
They haven't made a public statement or anything like that.
No, I think maybe Stupa said something on his Instagram, but he didn't specify what injury it is. But he did say it was because of injury that he had to miss Qatar, and he's also missing Brussels.
Yes.
LeBron will be playing with Alec Ruiz. We'll talk about that at the end.
Are they missing Brussels because of the injury, or is it to make up for playing in Cancun?
No. Okay. I don't think that's it. I think it's I think they missed because of I think Stupa didn't know if he could play, if he couldn't. Maybe he was still talking to doctors and stuff. So the registration deadline
closed. Yeah.
So they couldn't sign up to that. And then before Brussels, the same thing happened with Brussels.
Right.
LeBron just picked someone else because
Stupa should just pull a Tapia and play with a stupid injury like a broken finger, whatever Tapia had. But it kind of sucked. There was moments in the tournament I was like, I wish these guys were competing. In it.
And it's one of the main. I mean, it's number 3 seeds. They're like the after number 1s and number 2s. They're the best pairing, and they have been. They have been playing like that, and they've been showing the world how good they are. So, and then it's the ripple effect it has on fixtures and draws.
Yeah, you were talking about this.
Well, yeah, because then, they would. We don't know, but number 3s they would probably make it to semis.
Right.
Could be otherwise, but so then that means that it's kind of like a bigger advantage towards the number 1s.
They can
because then number 1 would have to play against number 3 usually, but because of the lack of that, they play against number 4.
Right, I see.
But it also it also does benefit Galan because then they in the semis have to face, because they can't face the number 4s because they're facing the number 1s. Then number 2s would have to face someone lower, which they did, Paquito Berga.
Yeah, which was we'll talk about that game after. We're gonna do the finals first, and then speak about the other games that also happened. But yeah, we'll see them in 2 tournaments time. We have a little break after this as well, but it's a shame, and hopefully they come back stronger. And
all the best to Stupa. Hope he's back on the court, playing like a beast very soon. Yeah.
But let's get into it. Let's
do it. Let's get into some game analysis. The men's final, guys. We got the Classico, the Padel Classico back. Galan versus Coello Tapia.
I know, man.
After a while. That was the most expected game throughout 2024 season. That was nearly every single tournament had that outcome.
And yeah, let's preface it as well a little bit. The past few tournaments, Coello and Tapia were going through their own thing.
Yeah.
And
well, because of it finally was revealed that Tapia fractured his finger in Riyadh.
Crazy.
It wasn't a muscle thing, or that he literally fractured.
I don't understand.
One of his fingers.
To continue playing like that, taped up with blue tape all over him.
It probably wasn't like a broken finger. It probably was like some sort of fissure or like a light break.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
To see him, in previous tournaments not take those smashes when he would be all over that.
And I think that it also, being an athlete playing at these levels, an injury can really affect you mentally as well, right? And bring you down, and it has a massive impact on...
That's actually... sorry, not to cut you
off.
No,
go for it.
Yeah, seeing those guys, see how emotional Tapia and Coello was at the end of the game. I know we just started talking about it, but that was such a nice feeling for me. You know, you can see, even Tapia had his towel over his head, but, as they won that match or tournament point, they both collapsed on the ground, and, Tapia's going like, I'm here. Like, he made it to the end, and I think the emotion's still there. These guys haven't got,
it's their life. It's the amount of things and they've sacrificed to get to where they are. An injury it can really change things, and it can really piss you off.
It can be scary as well. That's life altering.
Exactly. Especially when you're so young and you've got your whole career ahead of you.
Yeah.
So
No, you're right.
So yeah.
No, it was super sweet, but let's get into...
let's do it.
The Golden Boys are kind of
so
feeling golden a little bit.
Feeling golden. I mean, we kind of saw their prime level, as we all know, coming back, facing Galan. It was interesting how the game started with Galan sort of taking the upper hand quite quickly, which was surprising to see, but I was also excited. I was like, okay, maybe we've got a game in our hands.
That's how you got to go into it. You got to come in like guns blazing. Otherwise, it's like you're gonna lose that momentum.
And it was a 4-1 to Galan in the first set. So they started off really well. Loads of, I think, lack of concentration from the Golden Boys. Loads of unforced errors that we're not used to from them.
Coello as well, I think, right?
Yeah. Both. They weren't really in the game until they realized, okay, we gotta switch on.
And they brought it back, man.
And they brought it back. It was amazing because we've got it here. Like once they're locked in, the Golden Boys are it's so difficult. It's so tricky.
I think especially against Chingo and Galan, they know the pressure points to put on them. They know that they can go for that lob against Chingotto, and Chingotto is only gonna hit that, which is an amazing vibora, don't get me wrong, but it was also kind of crazy to see the lack of lobs from Galan and Chingotto as well.
Oh my god.
Why?
Because it's just
there was
it's impossible.
There was two. It's impossible to lob them because they're gonna eat that up and they're gonna kill you basically, which is such a I don't want to swear for some reason, but it's such a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah,
seeing these guys go through the process. I'm talking about Chingo and Galan. When they're at the back of the court, Coello and Tapia are at the net. The right logical thing, or I say logical, but in situations like this, just go for the lob. Go for the lob.
Because that's how you win the net, right? That's push them back.
And you push them back like that, and it was just like they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it once. They'd rather hit flat smashes to the net, and you have Coello's like 9-foot wingspan covering the right side of the court.
Yeah.
Mozart is back there, flying and doing the craziest little trick shots to kill a point. It's insane,
it's such a tricky pairing. I mean, as you said, they're so good at the net initially, but then, like the lack of lobs in this game from Galan, but not because they don't want to. It's just because that's the strategy that they're going for. Because they tried it a few times. Both Coello and Tapia were just winner after winner after winner. Super strong smashes. The court this time wasn't super fast, but it was also quite weather dependent.
Yeah.
If you played during the day and it was nice and warm, it popped out a bit more.
The humidity at night,
as soon as the sun went down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see also how, I think one of the main things in this matchup is the diagonal between Coello and Chingo.
Yeah. How do you think Chingo handles it?
I think Coello, it seemed to me at the beginning when they were winning in the first set that Chingo kind of figured it out. Not just in that game, but like it's probably something that he works on a lot, because he obviously knows he's going to get lobbed a lot, and that he's got his Vibora. But it's Coello's so good at blocking it.
It's insane. It's these little. He just pops his racket
just
up, right?
Pops his racket there. He like shifts his knees to like go sideways, and he just boom blocks it there. Chingo has to play an absolute bullet or like a really, really well placed overhead for Coello not to block it.
Right.
And that's like their whole. That's like the main set piece that they do. Right. Is lob Coello. Lob Chingo, because it's the easiest thing to do. And then, as we've mentioned before, Coello doesn't like playing at the back. That's not his area. No. As soon as he lobs, goes to the net. He blocked most of Chingo's Biboras, not at the beginning, but he just kind of got into it and was able to do it more. And then that's it. They've got the net. Just like that, you know? Whereas, as we were just saying, for the Golden Boys, it's not the same. You can't just lob and then, we've got the net. Because if you lob, and you'll get killed with a super powerful smash.
The coverage from both of them, from Coello and Tapia, is just like so offensive that, you know, it's like such a basic fundamental, as we said, you know, to take that net. How do you take it? You know, and they end up taking or hitting these, you know, little chiquitas as well as the only other way.
It's the only other option, right?
It's such a frustrating game for Chingalan to go against.
What I was telling you as well while I was watching. I think I texted Connor, and just as a big paddle fan, but just watching it, I felt it was unfair, and I was getting frustrated, being like, "There's no way that there is not a single lob you can play. That must be the worst feeling. Like, imagine playing against it, you know?
Yeah, imagine saying, look, in this game, I'm not going to lob at all. And then, you know, how do you come over that? I mean, they didn't at the end of it. So, and, you know, it feels like when the Golden Boys are back at their 100%, which it kind of feels like, you know, after a few tournaments, they're finally playing in form. They're here. And it almost feels like a little bit untouchable for Galan and Chingotto, right?
Yeah.
And it always comes with that as well. When we get a final like this where Coello and Tapia, which, you know, we haven't had many this year, but like, you know, people point fingers at Chingotto as well, who is playing amazing.
He's playing amazing.
But do you think he holds Galan back at all, or do you think they complement each other? I think that's
it's just
the two narratives.
It's an interesting question, but it's so difficult to answer because I know the whole point is to be the best, be number one. But like, you can't just base Chingo's effect on the pairing by playing against Coello and Tapia. You know, it's like, but like Galan could be paired with Yanguas. You could be paired with Cardona. I don't know. You know, this is just hypothetical, but like, it wouldn't be like, it's Chingo's fault because he's doing this or that. It would still be incredibly difficult. What I realized, realized for the 100th time watching this game, is when Coello and Tapia are locked in, it's like it's unplayable. It really is. Man. It's insane. It really is unplayable. It doesn't matter if you're Galan or Chingotto or whoever.
Yeah.
I don't think he's holding him back at all, because they've been making insane results. They've got 2 tournaments this season already. They're making finals. They're, you know, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I think that, you know, if we zoom in a little bit and maybe don't look at the bigger picture and we look at Coello and Tapia versus, you know, Chingalan.
Okay.
The strategy that these guys have, or the cards that they keep playing, I feel like it's so limited to them. And I feel like the frustration builds. But I think Chingotto is such an amazing player, not just from his skill, but from his ability to support Galan, you know? Yeah. And when the moment that Chingotto is not playing at his 100, and he knows that he's not playing at his 100, and he's even going over to Galan being like, I'm trying, I'm doing my thing, I feel like the mental side of Galan slips a little bit. Yeah. And I think Galan, out of both of them, maybe its weaker mentality is a bit harsh, 100%
but agree. Yeah,
you can tell when he's so in his head that it's just like, you know, he's not going to play at his best. So it's moments like that. It's both the skill level, the weaknesses they have as a pairing, you know, and I think it's fair enough to call it a weakness, but it limits them so much that I don't know. I'm curious to see who would potentially step up and play with Galan. You know what I mean?
The thing is, like, and what they were what they were doing, just to build on what you were saying, what they were doing well at the beginning of this final is they weren't letting them use their weapons, right? As you said,
yeah, exactly.
The only solution to that is playing quickly and fast to the body.
Yes.
So no lobs, right? Because as we've said, you can't. But the problem is they have so many weapons. It's like it comes,
That's it, dude.
It comes to a point where it doesn't really matter, because even though they're really good on the smash and they will kill you on overheads, they're still incredible on the net. You've got Tapia's magic fucking wrist that can apparently twist 360 degrees.
He got a new upgrade.
He's got like a cyborg, a robot arm.
Did you see? Oh gosh, I really don't want to. I'm not even gonna pretend like I know what game it was from. I'm pretty sure it was from the finals, but it was Tapia doing a double off the glass return through his legs with a backhand flick.
With a twisted...
I don't know if that made sense, what I just said.
But yeah, it's ridiculous.
Watching it was even more confusing. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. It's like he's making it harder for himself, let alone to defend off a super hard Vibora, right? But just to take it through the legs, backhand there. And I was just like, oh my God. And he also had another amazing point as well.
Yeah.
Where I don't even know how the physics work. But, he's literally running to the net. It was a smash that went short. It was about to drop over the other side of the net. And he how does he do it?
This was on the final.
Yes.
This was 5-4. Was it 5-4? I think. Oh, no. I don't know if it was 5-4. But basically, it was 2 points to win the tournament against Galan. Galan goes for a smash. It just hits like the edge between the fence, the fence and the back glass.
Exactly.
So it doesn't come back immediately. It like bounces, does a weird bounce. Tapia runs. It drops just after the net, and Tapia just gets there and boom, with a quick.
It's like he undercuts it, but then is able to put it into the net.
He just switches his grip, and he can like go full open racket.
Insane.
And then just go like that.
Absolutely insane. Yeah, so I think that's mental. When... he earns the name, Mozart, right? And it feels good to see him back and to pull off those crazy shots. But those were just two highlight winning points for me, man.
And just before we move on to the semis, just like as you were saying, now that we're doing some really nerdy paddle talk, which I love.
Yes.
It feels like, as you said, so you've got quick balls to the body.
Yes, body
on the volley, or as you said, the Chiquita, right?
Yeah.
But the only reason, which is another way to win the net, it's a more technical shot. It's more difficult, especially at these high levels. Mm-hmm. But that Chiquita that will allow Galan to push to the net and go to the volley clash, which is sort of like a free for all, because Galan on the net is amazing. Chingotto reflexes as well. Like it can go either way in that sense. But then once they're at the clash, going for that quick volley lob, so lobbing off the volley towards probably Tapia is easier to do that too, so that they literally, it's the only lob you can play, so that they don't have time to react, and then you push them back, which they did a few times.
Yes,
I feel like that's.
I don't know
if you agree or what you think.
No, I agree as well. I think I feel like most of the time when it was like that pit pat in the middle, all four are up, I was always like, oh my God, Coello is going to hit it into Galan's body again, because he did that so many times in the finals. And
he was getting very frustrated, Galan, at one point.
It's kind of like, I don't know, man, how I feel about the body shot. It's a strategy, that's for sure. It's a tactic, but it's just enough. Like, God damn, leave me alone, bro.
It's a bit dirty, but I mean, it works, it's part of it.
And I'll take that, man. It is kind of like disgusting to see them absolutely push them back like that. And you said they would love Tapia, but to be honest, I'd love if we had the statistics. We mentioned we didn't mention Padel Intelligence yet, but if we'll talk about that after. But when they're all up at the net, it's just like it's a free for all, as you said, man. And you don't know where it's gonna go. You don't know who's gonna make the mistake. It's such fast paced play. And that's what we like. Maybe they'll lob Chingo instead, but it was just such a good game, man. Honestly.
Just to finish, I think to determine, like, as a to round it all up on this game, I think it came down to, we've talked about all the game analysis and all that strategy and stuff, but being up 4-1 on the first set, losing that set, what is it? I think it was 7-6.
Yeah.
Losing that set on a tiebreak, having that pretty big advantage. It was kind of like Galan went down in terms of confidence and overall, hunger and oomph.
Yeah.
And the Golden Boys sort of went up. And that was, I think, what determined the game in the end, was one of them going down, the other one going up. On the second set, Galan were sort of mentally drained.
Yeah,
already.
That's what I mean. I was gonna say, I doubt physically drained, but it is the mental game going up against these fucking guys. Like, it's actually so tormenting a little bit for them to go up against Coello and Tapia because they know, they're playing against the best in the world, and that is at the end of the day. Like, it's seed 1 versus seed 2.
Yeah.
But the gap between them, especially on a good day for Coello and Tapia, it's too dangerous.
It's unplayable, man.
It's unplayable.
It's so frustrating. Yeah.
That's why we missed Stupid LeBron. I don't know where they would have ended up this tournament, but to create a little bit more pressure, getting through to the finals and everything like that, it would have been nice to see. But we got a good finals anyway. It was a major
El Clasico. Very nice.
They picked up 2,000 points. That leads a little bit further now.
Crazy how major wins give you. I mean,
2,000 points, man.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, it's a major, right? But that's why I feel like we should care. I don't know. The difference between majors, P1s and P2s, I feel a little bit like a blur because everyone plays in them. But really, the importance of a major is absolutely insane, man. To pick up 2,000 points. I mean, we're going to talk about Delphi and Gemma now, right?
So before we get into the women's final, another incredible game. Unfortunately, this time round, we're trying to find a solution. We won't be able to bring you guys any stats.
Yes.
We love the stats, and we think it's a very useful and informative way of breaking down games and players and tournaments. Super useful. Unfortunately, Padel Intelligence, I don't know if you guys know, but they sort of announced that they won't be providing any more stats for free to the public. They're going to continue doing that towards professional players and coaches, but I think they lacked a backing from Premier Padel.
Yeah, there's. You kind of read their statement as well. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it and I'm picking up. I'm like, oh, there's some drama here. But it does feel like there was maybe some expectations where
I think I read the same.
You know what I mean? It's like they. I mean, when we started this podcast, guys, like, the first thing I said to Hugh was like, how is this free?
You were like,
who's tracking this? I know there's like a smallish team. I don't think Padel Intelligence is a big.
No, and the thing is, it's all manual.
Yeah.
They have people.
Wait, they're not AIing this stuff, man.
Not yet, no. But
wait, are you kidding me? There's a guy counting unforced errors.
They've got a team of people that they hire who watch the games. I swear on my life, they watch the games live and they input the data manually.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So and they provide the way they display the data is actually like incredible. No. We're not gonna be nerds and say we've got bad stats now, basically. But the stuff that Premier Padel puts out, I don't know if any of you guys and
it's very
look at the stats, but it's really not that informative at all. It's such a weird selection of stats that they want to give you, and I'm just like, okay.
And it's a bit inconsistent as well because a set finishes,
yes,
and then you'll get like the set summary, which basically at least for me, I don't know how you guys feel like, I think for both of us maybe, the most informative stats are unforced errors, winners, and smashes.
Yeah.
Kind of, those are, and smash conversion kind of thing, because we're talking about a level, especially in the men's, where smashes are a massive thing.
Yes.
And they will give you loads of winners. So those stats kind of they paint you a clear picture of how a match goes, and you can do that for the team in total or also individually for players.
Yes.
And they did, for example, the semifinal, Galan, Coki, Yanguas, set finishes, they give you that little summary, which is perfect. Then the game finishes, usually they give you a match summary overall with the same stats.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it. And then they give you percentage of points won on serve.
It's just like, what do you want me to do with this, man? Like, you're giving me like 3 different percentages.
Yeah.
That, I don't really give much. Anyway, that's obviously we care about the stats because we use them for you guys, and we like getting into it, and it genuinely gives us obviously a better understanding on how that game turned out on paper as well.
Yeah, and we're nerds.
Yeah, we're nerds as well.
That's what we do.
I want to see the unforced errors.
Exactly.
I want to see the forced errors.
Yeah,
I want to see the winners versus smashes.
Yeah.
I want to see the key point index.
Exactly.
chart.
I want to see the chart. Yeah.
I've never thought I was awful at math at school, and I can't believe it now. I'm like,
Dude,
where are the
stats? Was
stats?
one of my worst subjects as well. But it is very informative. Anyway. So yeah, basically we're working on it.
Bring back Padel Intelligence.
Bring
please.
back Padel Intelligence.
And but if anyone is out there that wants to count stats for us,
get
a little post-it note and a pencil, and DM us on Instagram, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, that was our little spiel on Padel Intelligence. How could we not get into the women's final, which was I love it, man. I think
how
did
you live it? What was your thoughts, vibes?
It was such a fast-paced game.
Crazy, right?
It was weirdly fast for a women's final, or just like on the women's side of things. Mm-hmm. But also to see the smashes and seeing them pop it out of the court, I was like, here we go. The style of play or the feeling is almost becoming more similar, or for this game at least, is like a lot more aggressive, a lot more fast-paced. I don't know if Gemma and Delphi are putting that level of pressure on Ari and Paula.
I mean, that's one of the main talking points from this,
it's this number 2 seeded pair taking on the number 1, and it is now the fourth win
in a row. Yeah, they took
Gemma and
they took
Delphi.
Gijón, Cancun, Miami, and now Qatar.
Yeah.
2 P2s, 1 P1, and 1 major.
Yeah. It's
massive.
It's awesome. So we've covered, this is our 4th tournament now where they've won. And I genuinely think at the beginning of the year, for all the new pairings, probably one of my most excited new pairings, right? Obviously
I remember you saying when it came out, you were like, this is massive.
They're going to be deadly, man.
And I was like, I think you're right. Yeah, it's going to be,
And look, they just picked up 2,000 points. We got to, we got to double check, or someone in the comments let us know what that points gap is now. Mm-hmm. But, it's still early seasons. This is the 5th or 6th tournament of the year.
Yeah. Yeah,
I cannot wait to see how close this gap is between them. Mm-hmm. Closer towards the finals at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But oh my God, look, a 6-4, 6-4 game.
Coming from both sets, the number 2s were down 1-4.
Exactly.
And then the exact same happened, one set and the other. They win 5 games in a row.
Yeah.
Leaving it 6-4, 6-4 to Triay Brea.
And we've said it a few times now, but it feels like Sanchez and Jose Maria, I don't know if they go in like autopilot mode a little bit, or this is just the intensity of the game, and Gem and Delphi are actually just like stepping it up to a whole new level. But it seems like they lose that. I'm talking about Ari and Paula. Like they lose their momentum
100%.
very, very frequently.
That's what I wanted to ask. Like, what do you think? What is that? It feels like that's their kryptonite. This They can play amazing, or they'll win a set 6-1, and they'll lose the next one 2-6 or 1-6, and then the other pairings got the advantage and went. What do you think that is? What's the?
I don't know if it's a mental switch, or they're feeling the pressure too much, or especially Gem and Delphi have cracked their strategy or play style, or really know them super well and can predict a lot of what they're going to do.
Overconfidence?
You think they're overconfident?
Like, as in, like, maybe you're up 4-1, and you're like, this is kind of done already, and then they relax a bit. I don't know, but it's been happening quite a bit.
Yeah, if it's a confidence thing, or they get too chill basically, and they kind of lose that aggression, and I think that's where Gemma and Delphi capitalize on it on the finals. I don't know what it is. I think they need to sort it out within themselves, which isn't like the best, analysis of them. But it's like we've seen it happen too many times now.
Yeah.
And I think if not already, they're feeling the pressure of Gemma and Delphi, which are just like such a solid pairing, man. I think Delphi's aggression, her power, but really my one of my favorite players now.
I think Gemma is.
She's insane.
For me, she's the best paddle player in the world.
I think so, right?
I think so.
And she's not ranked number 1, right?
But in terms of like just watching her play and how intelligent she is, she's got like such a wide plethora of weapons as well. And as you were saying before, like this game was crazy in terms of, especially for someone like me, maybe someone, like us amateurs, maybe a few of our listeners as well. watch these games and see how, especially Gemma and Paula Jose Maria were kick smashing the ball.
Yeah.
Because you watch the men's, and sometimes like Osberger just has a power that none of us will ever have, or Coello. But if you're looking at technique, you're probably still very far away, but you're probably a bit closer if you're a male listener to getting that power on a kick smash. So it's more about the technique they hit it with, because they're such beautiful smashes that are just popped out the court by not like massively, but just by an inch or so, you know?
Which is like even harder to return, you know, that airtime, you know, going over the fence, you know, saying like I've ever ran out of the court to return it like that. But yeah, I mean, it's almost like it's these moments in paddle where it's like an effortless shot, but you see the ball just ping up and go over the top of the fence for a nice portrait, and it's really cool to see that for the women's as well. So we'll give it to Brea Triay and Delphi Brea, but you know, I want to switch it back to Ari Sanchez and Jose Maria a little bit, because when I was watching Premier Padel the whole of last year, it really felt like Ari Sanchez was, you know, the number one. She wasn't carrying necessarily, but it felt like Jose Maria was complementing Ari and supporting Ari in like a partnership like that.
She's more of a risk taker, Paula, isn't she?
Exactly.
So and, more of errors.
And just from the 6 tournaments we've watched this year, it really feels like Jose Maria has kind of taken that over now, basically. That's kind of my take on it anyway. And it was just like, I don't know what's happening with Ari, I'll be honest. Like, she seems to cool off. I don't know if that's why we need that Padel Intelligence, you know, key point index chart thing. But yeah, that's something I've noticed as well this season.
Because I think a way to analyze that is you've got the righty-lefty combo with the number ones, right?
Yeah.
You've got Paula Jose Maria playing on the right-hand side, on the forehand, being a left-handed player, and Ari Sanchez playing on the backhand, being a right-handed player. But it's like, you know, we've seen this a few times where some pairings, such as this one, because of the righty-lefty combo, the forehand player could be the more aggressive one. It doesn't really matter because it's because it's a mirror, because it's like symmetrical. In this case, Paula Jose Maria is the more aggressive player, the one that has more power, that goes for more smashes, because she can do that being left-handed.
Yeah.
So then you're left with Ari Sanchez having to face in the diagonal cross-court players, backhand players, traditional backhand players like Brea Triay, who are probably a bit more aggressive than her and hit more winner shots.
Right.
And she might be, you know, it's a struggle because it's not. A struggle. You just have to adapt to that.
What do you think the vibes are, you know, in the locker room between Ari and Paula at the moment? Do you think the frustrations building? Are they asking themselves questions? Because I'm saying that now, but they also just seem so chill and so like, you know, not just happy to be there, but they don't put the pressure on the. I don't see them ever get frustrated. I don't see
They've always got smiles on their faces.
You know what I mean? It's like it's like they're playing for fun, and I'm like, I kind of like that mentality that, you know, win or loss, like you can walk off the court with a smile on your hand, which maybe it's just like that typical male ego thing, right? But you know, you can see a lot more of the male players get frustrated, get pissed off, get in their head. Where for these guys, they're just like, oh, we just lost a major.
I think they've been playing together for so long. I think they have a lot of trust and confidence in them. And, you know, as we've said before, it's really, really hard to get to the top and to get to be number one. It's even harder to keep it,
to stay there.
Maintain it, right?
I mean,
and it just goes up and down. You know, I always use the Man City analogy. You know, it's like at some point, either because you just can't keep that level or because someone challenges you and you become, you know, like Triay and Brea, someone pops up that's like, wait, hold up, I'm here. I want a piece of the cake as well.
Exactly.
But it's really hard. At some point you have to play a bit worse, or there has to be a crisis moment. It's impossible. Look at even Coello and Tapia, you know, look at the beginning of the season. It might be an injury, it might be a mental thing, it might be a whatever it is, but it happens. They're still number one, and you know.
They are still number one. Yeah. Will we see them drop down this year, do you think? Will they close the gap? Will they put the pressure on?
That's the thing. We'd have to check the
point
difference, because now with this 2,000 point difference. It might be, I can look it up.
Okay, we're back. We checked the points.
We're back, yeah. So basically, we've got the number ones with the same points. They've got 17,620 for the number one seeds. Then we've got Brea Triay with 15,460 points.
Right.
And then we've got Delphi Brea with 11,780. The gap, it is a gap. However, we must remember that the way, same in tennis, the way this point system works, that's why it's one of the reasons why staying number one is so difficult, is you're defending points from last season.
There's more to lose for
Ari and Paula. A lot to lose as well from Gemma, because she did do massive results with Claudia Fernandez in 2024 season. But, that's, it's like let's say a 2,000 point difference, more or less.
It's
not impossible. Give him a couple P1s and one P2.
Yeah.
And we'll see. The thing is, you also have to, Sanchez and Jose Maria might win.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a battle, I think. They've still got a difference, the number ones, but end of season, we've still got a lot of season to play. We've got 3 majors left. We've got loads of P1s, loads of P2s. Things could happen.
I like that. You know why? Because it's actually an incredible landscape for, good level of competition, basically. And now this is the moment, when you first start watching Premier Padel, and you might not understand this like whole point system that you're defending your points from last year's tournament. But yeah, that puts so much more pressure on Ari and Paula.
Yeah.
And I wonder how, we were saying they're just smiling all the time, so they handle it pretty well. So you can't say they're not handling it. But I like to see this points gap close, because if you throw it over to the men's a little bit, Coello and Tapia are sailing ahead a little bit, but we'll take it there. So honestly, it was a crazy finals. We loved it. I mean, we want more finals like that. You had something to say?
Yeah, shout out to as if maybe she does, to Delfina Brea.
Oh yeah,
the first Argentinian woman to ever win a major.
Yes, exactly.
In Premier Padel history. Is it Premier Padel or
let's say stay safe, and let's say in Premier Padel
history.
World. History.
Okay.
So it's only the last few years.
It's only been Spanish female players who've won them.
I mean, if someone knows, please correct us in the comments as well. I'm pretty sure she's the first. That's why, the emotions were there at the end. It's such a huge moment for her, and I think she was living it, to the fullest. So, big shout out to Delphi. Yeah, they're flying.
Yeah.
Let's cover some of the semis, maybe?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. We just want to touch on both of the men's semifinals, which were interesting games. We've got, first off, Galan versus Paquito Bergamini.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't watch the first set of the game, but I did watch the second, which was absolutely insane. Q, did I miss anything in the first set? Is there anything that I should know before?
No, I mean, first set was pretty
one-sided. No,
pretty standard, pretty one-sided for Galan. It's awesome to see Paquito and Bergamini in semis, really unexpected,
Yeah, the guitar lives on, man.
I mean, especially for Bergamini, Paquito, he's got, his tenure is crazy. He's used to being in these big games, but a semifinals at a major tournament for Bergamini, I think, is a massive thing. Also, him not being Spanish or Argentinian.
Yeah, shout out to Brazil, man.
Shout out Brazil, exactly. So it was cool to see, and they played really, really well. Paquito and Bergamini. They were up against the number 2 seed, so it was always a really tough match. But yeah, I mean,
Paquito plays with such can you say old school style, or maybe it's like, maybe old school is not the right way, but there was so many times where I'm seeing not a short lob, but an easy lob that's coming his way, and I'm like, here we go, he's gonna smash it, bandeja, again and again and again and again, and they want to build the point up so slowly that maybe, I don't know if I always say that I have like low paddle IQ, because I'm just smack it as hard as you can, kill the ball.
That's the name of the game right now. Exactly. That's what paddle looks like.
So it's pretty interesting seeing like a more traditional, more slower paced game that he wants it to play like that.
But the thing is, he can do that. I mean, he doesn't have massive power, but every now and again he did maybe just a couple of por tres that were actually beautiful, really well crafted technical shots.
Exactly.
And even the commentators were saying like, why doesn't he do that more often?
I think everyone was thinking.
And
that
I feel like Paquito just plays it very like relaxed, sort of nonchalant style,
which is
where sometimes he's just got his racket down. He's just waiting for the ball to come to him. And yeah, as we said, like Paquito and Bergamini played a massive game. They were up 5-2 in the second set.
Right.
As you said, that was super interesting. Galan kind of lost focus a bit there. Paquito Verga got the upper hand.
Yeah.
They needed one more game to take it to a third set, which would have been like so interesting to see, but they just couldn't, and they ended up losing it 7-5.
Yeah, it's kind of soul crushing. I think most people have been there, even on the amateur side of things, like some of us. But yeah, to be up like 5-2.
Yeah.
And lose it still is like, that's crushing, man. Yeah. And that's when Galan and Chingotto were like, okay, let's lock in right now because we're not going to a third set. We can do this in 2 straight sets. And it happened. But yeah, I just remember watching that second set and I was like, this is just like, it's good paddle, It's like good quality.
It's really good quality,
proper paddle basically, And then, if you compare that to, the Carberger Coello Tapia game where, Augsburger was just smashing for his life.
There's probably in that game quarterfinals. There was probably 1 or 2 bandejas and víboras.
Yeah, everything else.
Every overhead is a smash because you've got 4 massive smashers.
Yeah.
All of them, which is interesting if you look at this semifinal.
Yeah.
You've got Paquito and Chingo, who are very similar players in terms of style.
Yes.
And the way they play. Both, they don't have a lot of power. They're both quite small players, but they've got killer víboras.
Exactly.
And they play it the same way. Then you've got Galan, who's an absolute beast.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He's got the volley, he's got the block, he's got the smash. And I feel like that's what made the difference here. Chingalan got so many winners off of Galan smash.
Yeah.
Something that I feel like Paquito can't give to his pairing. So I feel like it's a mirror. The semis is a mirror in every way, except
that's true. Actually,
on the backhand, diagonal.
I actually agree with that because it's a game that we don't see too often as well.
No, because I mean it's not. It's quite a. Yeah, I mean I guess because of the Stupa LeBron not being there, but Paquito and Bergamini making it to semis is not unheard of, but it's big for them.
Yeah, we'll give it to them. I said to Hugh that I feel like Bergamini is like somewhat underrated. I think
100%
the play style that he has and the confidence that he has, and especially defending as well.
Yeah.
He's incredible. He's a small guy. Or smaller as well.
Yeah, I think Berga did the shot of the tournament.
Which was that one? Oh, I saw it.
He did a
through the leg, right?
Through the leg.
Back right corner.
Through the leg, down the line towards Galan's side, completely catching him off guard and getting the winner that way. Off a really difficult ball as well.
Yeah, no, we'll give him that. Yeah, I think
see if we can maybe find it.
We've got the link. We would.
Okay.
We've got I watched it this morning actually, and I was like,
no way.
I
think that was point of the tournament for me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll play my one now then. I think that crazy trick shot. Maybe I'll play both of them actually. You guys enjoy
the Tapia's one.
Yeah, both of the ones we were talking about already were just like insane.
Yeah.
Even though we get used to it. I think we have one more semis we want to touch on.
Yeah. Getting now into the second men's semis.
Yep.
Coello Tapia, Coki Yanguas. Again, we've seen it in the women's final. We saw it in the first semis we've just talked about. These like crazy comebacks from the favorites, maybe the underdogs as well, being unexpected and all of a sudden going up 5-2.
Yeah.
Same thing happened here. We had a sort of pretty standard first set. Coello Tapia took it pretty comfortably. And then we had a second set, started with domination from Coki Yanguas on their side, bringing it up to... Again, I think it was, it was the opposite.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah,
the Golden Boys were up 5-1 or 5-2, I think.
Almost.
Coki Yanguas just switched on. They were so close to taking the the game for the Golden Boys. But
Yeah.
Coki Yanguas switched on, brought it back up to a 5-5, which was massive.
Oh my god!
And then they,
was that them gassing themselves out though, and they played at like 120% just to catch back up. Then to go into the second set and just sort of
and
feel...
it's and I think we can obviously we'll get into it now, but you've just got two unrelentless players with Coki and Yanguas. Aside from their faults, which we'll get into now in terms of like actual strategy and play style and how well they fit in with each other, Coki, I think, is the player that runs the most. Not in terms of speed, he is one of the fastest ones, but in terms of like calories burnt per game, it's crazy how much he leaves his entire being on the court.
Yeah,
and Yanguas is just so hungry. You can just see it in Yanguas. He's just...
his aggression is
frothing at the mouth. He's so hungry, winning points, winning sets, winning games. He really wants to get up there with the top. He already is, but he's really young, and he definitely, you can tell that he wants the number one.
I mean, they've made semis how many times this season, right? They've made
every single tournament they've played.
There you go.
So apart from the ones they didn't sign up to because of the boycott, they did Miami semis, they did Santiago, they did Riyadh semis as well.
So
now they've done four semifinals.
As a new pairing, right? Do you think they're working out to be, what they wanted, or do you think there's a little cap where yes, they're playing well, they're getting to the semis, but the idea of them making it to finals, unless another pairing, a Chingalan happens, you know what I mean, like, or Stupid LeBron's not playing there, is it even possible or even close for them to beat Coello and Tapia in a final?
Interesting question, which actually opens up something that I wanted to talk to you about as well. So I think, I'm going to call it this, but it's still early days. Please don't cancel me or say anything. What I call it is the curse of the Super Pibes. The Super Pibes being Stupa di Nenno. When they were together, they played for a long time. It seemed like all they could do was get to semis. They got to semis every single time, but they lost in semis always, and they never got a few, But when it was a normal tournament like a P1 or a P2 where everyone was registered, and the draw was against number ones, number twos, it feels like they've got this curse of never being able to leave semis, because the problem is they get to semis and they're up against Chingalan. And that's kind of like a difficult position to be in when you're really good and you're up there, but just before you can get to a final, you'll always be facing Chingalan. So there's that. And then there's another aspect in terms of play style and of how well they fit in together.
Which I wanted to ask.
I think they can beat Chingalan, and they have been very close to. It's not a walk in the park for Chingalan whenever they face each other. They get to tie-break sets. They get to third sets. I think they can beat them on a good day. But I think there's a bit of a, let's call it like a block in that pairing. Right? In terms of, you've got Coki Nieto, who is incredible player. There, we got him. We love him.
Sure, I mean,
personally, one of my favorite players because of his play style. Just personally, I really like him. But he's a backhand player who really struggles with having that finisher shot and that power.
That's kind of what I noticed as well. Like, there's more of an unorthodox pairing, right?
Exactly.
Like they're not exactly as incredibly aggressive, and that's why I asked you this question, because I feel like Yanguas wants to, and he wants to be on that level of aggression or that heightened sort of.
Some people, we were talking about Yanguas going to the backhand,
right?
But yeah, as you were saying,
swapping over, and I just don't know. There's some moments where I feel like maybe Coki's holding him back a little bit. I think a lot of people speculate on who would call Yanguas up or who would team up with them. Obviously, if I name any player in the top 3-4 ranked players right now, of course they would go. But I see a lot of Galan Yanguas mentioned, and I think that's a.
I mean, Yanguas was smashing and converting more than Coki was in that game.
Yeah,
which is such a rare thing to see.
Because it's on the right side as well.
On the right hand side. So, but as you were saying, it's interesting because I think their challenge as a pairing is because it's such an unorthodox combination.
Yeah.
Which we're seeing more and more. These Libaks, Yanguas style players, where it's also incredibly on defense, but a way more aggressive, wanting to push to the net, can smash if needed, sort of forehand players.
Yeah.
Combined with Coki, and their challenge, as I was saying, is having to adapt to that play style because they'll be playing against more orthodox pairings or Carburger, Coello Tapia style, where it's like it's power, it's all power based, and you're gonna get punished. So it's adapting to that because their main weapon, their main solution is just going to volley clash. So going to the pit pat.
Yeah, exactly, right.
It's one of their main weapons.
And to get to the final, if we fantasize a little bit, would they need to change their play style at all, or do you think they can rock the unorthodox method, which, to be honest, in my opinion, doesn't get them to the final. It doesn't put that much pressure on them, and I don't know if it's that much of an advantage.
It doesn't. I don't think it doesn't get them to the final because of the play style. I think it doesn't get them to the final because they're up against two beasts.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate.
No. But it's a good question. Okay, but it's not like you can change who the number 2 seeds are. So if you're gonna keep facing these guys, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
So which is a very valid question you're asking. To be honest, I don't know. The thing is, you can't just magically give Coki an incredible smash. It is what it is. The players are what they are, so they might need to change. Yes, I think a change of play style is. Yeah,
I think so. We were literally just saying at the beginning of this mini segment here that they've made every semifinals, which is a huge
massive accomplishment.
Yeah, it's an accomplishment. They're in the top 4, right?
They're number 4 seeds.
Exactly. That's still huge, but at the same time, we want to see that level of competition get pushed even more. So when we see that road to the final, it becomes even more uneasy feeling because we had Stupid LeBron chime up this year, which was just an incredible other face of the
refreshing.
Exactly. It's not just the the El Clasico as we call it, Chingotto, Galan versus Coello Tapia. We now have a third pairing that can make some waves, put a little bit of pressure earlier on in the tournament, make the quarters a little bit more interesting, right? So that's why I'm kind of hyping them up a little bit, or I have a lot of anticipation for them to switch it on a little bit more and to figure out how they can become a more successful pairing, right? Because out of all of the new pairings, we're going to speak about Garrido and Nenno in a second anyway, but I think they have the capabilities to do that. I think individually, obviously it's a team game, but they are incredible players on their own. But when you get them both on the court, that's really when it matters, I think. So
exactly.
That's why I want to see them grow. Obviously, we're still in that first quarter of the season.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna split up or anything like that. Who knows? Who knows?
We'll see. I mean, it could be because if Yanguas is really pushing for that,
right,
and he's that hungry, making semis isn't terrible.
Yeah,
and it's probably the best he's done in the past, especially with Yanguas and when he was with Garrido.
Yes,
good results, but not amazing. And then when he switched to who was Yanguas playing with after?
No.
It went straight to Coki.
Yeah.
So I think he is making better results, but he might be looking, if things stay like this further down, maybe end of the season, he might be looking at a new partner. We'll see, but I think this is like actually a really good question to put to you guys. Because we obviously don't have all the answers. We can speculate. But I think it's such an interesting debate. So please, in the comments, wherever you're, even on Spotify, leave us a little comment there. How are you guys seeing this number 4 pair? Do you think Koki's holding back Yanguas in any way? Do you think it's an issue of being a very unorthodox pairing in terms of play style and the DNA of each of these players? Sure. Can they beat Galan? Can they make their way to the top of the paddle world? Let us know.
And if you said no to a lot of those answers, let us know who you want to see them playing with as well. So,
do you see a changing of pairing? Yeah.
I don't think they're going to split up anytime soon, which I think it segues nicely to a pairing that did split up. Maybe not our last episode, but the episode before, we were talking about the new pairings, and we did kind of drop Garrido, Nenno, and their lack of performance basically.
Yeah.
And you know what? It happened. They split up. And Garrido's now playing with Juan, right?
Yeah.
And I think, what's the word? There's a little bit of salt in the wound because I think the tournament in Santiago was probably the first tournament of the year where Tello and Libag was like, they kind of made a name for themselves. And you heard such lovely words exchanged from Tello as well, that, he feels comfortable having him on his side and playing with, a younger player.
Himself, beating everyone with
and then we went to bed the next day and we woke up and Teo's like, see you later, I'm gonna go with my bestie Nenno over here, which I'm playing it up a little bit because obviously if you get a call up or a shout out from another player to come and play with them, you're gonna take it, right?
I think it's not as bad as it looks. So many people would think that obviously you get a call from the Nenno. I think that's, Tello took that opportunity.
Yeah.
But there's a few factors here that we need to talk about. First of all, Nenno and Tello are actually really good friends. Many times when we talk about players, pairs splitting up or whatever, it's not about one of them being bad or that their actual literal paddle chemistry isn't. It's not that individually they're better or worse,
right?
Or that they don't complement each other purely from a paddle point of view. Sometimes it's literally just chemistry.
Yeah.
There is a lot of like this unseen energy within a pairing, not only play style wise and from a paddleistic point of view, but also in terms of like how well they get on, how well they understand each other on a sort of energy
exactly.
level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is an aspect of it which is just comes down to there's a je ne sais quoi.
Yes, exactly.
That plays a big part in pairs, and I think that's what Nenno and Garrido were lacking.
Yes.
They just didn't mesh.
There was no sparks. You know what I mean? There
exactly.
was no. Yeah, it's the chemistry. That's the vibe you get, and that's where trust is built, and that's where your confidence as a pairing is really like reinforced.
Exactly.
And if you don't have that, it's such an integral part of your play style, your communication, your I said it already, but your confidence going on the court and relying on your teammate, or you're having to pick up your teammate, and it just didn't feel like that from the beginning.
And it kind of got this lack of chemistry was set in stone when they lost against the Deus brothers in this Qatar Major.
I think it's a shame, they didn't go out with a bang or anything like that, but there was also a lot of pressure.
I know there was, but being, Garrido and Nenno losing against the Deus, it's a pretty big loss for both of them. I mean, even Nenno was saying, like how, like, it's the pressure as well.
Yeah.
And I think they just going in knowing that they're not getting good results and their last dance wasn't either. It's just basically a pairing that from the get-go was shouldn't have happened, or it's not that it shouldn't have happened maybe, but that it was just some just don't work out at all.
Yeah.
And that's
how it is.
And
we can't speak just about Garrido and Nenno. Let's see who they're playing, who their partners are now playing with, because it's now Libak and Garrido, right?
It was a swap.
Yeah,
it was
they swapped over,
swap.
right? So
yeah.
I honestly have no idea how Garrido and Libac played. I was speaking to Hugh about it, and I was like, I don't know. It's one of those situations similar to Brea Triay, Claudia Fernandez, swapping with Bea Gonzalez and Delphi. Maybe it's not the nice way to say, but it's like they got the shit end of the stick a little bit. Like,
did they though?
That's what. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'll ask you. Like, what do you think? Obviously, I think people, especially Nenno, being the one to take the lead in this rupture, and him being the cause of this tiny little ripple effect, people would think, oh, Nenno, just because he's obviously amazing, and just because of ranking that Tello is the one benefiting, and Nenno as well. But I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's kind of like in a weird way, maybe, but like a bit of a win-win for everyone. A win-win-win-win. I don't know. What do you think? Yeah.
I think that's a nice silver lining. I don't know where reality sets into that, though, where, no one really wants to switch a pairing, like, 6 tournaments into a season because it doesn't work, let alone your pairing to go play with someone who, I think there's a little bit more benefits for Nenno and Tello, whereas Garrido and Libac aren't going to enjoy it as much. The only time I'm going to be able to say that, though, or, prove me wrong, is watching them play these next few tournaments, right? So it's
Brussels they're already playing together, so we'll see.
It's someone to keep an eye out for this tournament to see as a new pairing. Obviously, it's their first time, in a tournament playing. I'm sure maybe they've, hopped on the court before. But yeah, I'm just like, the confidence isn't there for them. It's almost like you're resetting yourself a quarter of the way through the season. And, I'm excited for Nenno and Tello to see if their ideas or their conspiracies are becoming like, a challenge-worthy pairing.
Yeah.
But it could just all blow up in their faces as well. So I think that's the ultimatum. Who knows? Obviously, Nenno Garrido wasn't working, so they have to try something new. And, Tello is Tello, and it seems like, Tello was, like, absent for the whole of the 2024 season. He wasn't really there.
It was crazy, wasn't it? Yeah.
And that's why, it is that sour feeling because of their performance in Santiago.
Yeah.
And then now to switch it up. So there's a lot of question marks. I mean, I'm also interested to see what you guys think as well.
Yeah.
But, definitely we got to keep an eye out for them for Brussels, basically. And, that's just a pairing and a little bit of musical chairs with pairings that we wanted to touch on this episode as well, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I kind of agree. I think maybe Nenno and Tello will benefit a bit more, but I think first of all, we have to talk about the benefits of the ranking changes with this ripple effect, right? Because with this change now, Tello and Nenno will go number 6,
right?
Which that means for Tello that when he was playing with Libac, he would face maybe Coello and Tapia in a round of 16.
Yeah.
Which is massive, because that doesn't allow you to win those extra points and get further into tournaments. But now, being number 6 pair, it allows him to get that advantage a little bit. Garrido Libac as number 8s, so it's also a first time for Libac to get into that top 8 pairing.
He's still so young, right? So.
Which is also good for him, you know. So it's as I said, kind of a win-win. I think chemistry between Nenno and Tello, well, we'll see, but I think it will be way better. As I said, they've known each other for a long time.
Exactly.
They're good friends. They're both more mature players, more used to. They're older,
Yeah.
More used to. Tello was saying, in an interview, he even said, "Yeah, it's like it's good to have someone beside you who's been in big pressure moments, big games where everything's on the line, such as Nenno." And also, like, I think we should, it's important to speak on Garrido and Yanguas played for a long time, and they were a very good pairing.
Yeah, they were.
For, a couple years. I feel like Garrido fits in a lot better with forehands such as Yanguas or Libac, who are very similar in terms of, they're the same, this kind of new wave of forehands that's coming up. Maybe he doesn't play as well with forehand like Nenno, who's a lot more defensive. And I think Garrido, him being a very aggressive player, I think he enjoys and benefits more from a player who will force going up to the net and taking that net position quicker.
Yeah, I think he has to as well. I think, Garrido's got so much power as well, but you need someone on his side that can maybe that was the issue. You know, Nenno is like this defensive beast. Though, but you know, he plays such a, you know, too calm in a way. You know, I don't see him play, you know, push for that net too often. And
no, he just needs someone who's okay with that. Yeah. Because many players
are just like, no, you got to come up with me, man.
And like, some players are like, yeah, this is perfect. Yeah. This is what I need. I'll take risks. All I need you to do is just not make a single unforced error, which is, you know, and that's fine as well. And also, like, we've got, I think Garrido struggles with pressure a little bit. So him being with the Nenno, being high up in the rankings, you know, I think it doesn't work for him that well. And I think pairing up with someone like Tino Livac, who's a lot younger, I feel like the chemistry will balance out. I feel like both pairings will benefit a little bit. Well, I think, you know,
we'll have to see. And
in terms of ranking and in terms of like from a paddle point of view,
it'll be.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's all we can say.
What do you guys think as well? You know?
Let us know. And you know, it's Brussels right up next, or
it's happening now already this week. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens there. I guess the most important thing to talk about Brussels is, you know, LeBron and Ruiz playing together. We'll see how that goes.
Late registration. I don't think it's gonna go at all, but
well,
I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun.
It'll be fun, and it's the last resort for LeBron. He just wants to play.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ruiz was the only, I think, opportunity he had. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think that's it for today.
I think we're at the end of the episode, guys.
Yeah.
First major of the year. A lot of you know, solid paddle that we like talking about. A lot of paddle to watch. A lot more to come and look forward to. And yeah, thanks so much for sticking with us today, guys. Anything in the comments, just leave them down below. We love hearing you guys talk about paddle, and you know, we always try our best to reply to the comments and everything like that. So without further ado, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. Actually, will we see you next week? We're not doing it. Are we doing an episode?
Yeah.
We're doing Brussels?
We'll do Brussels. Yeah,
okay. Well, we'll see you next week then.
Yeah, it might come a bit later, but
yeah.
We'll definitely review Brussels as well.
All right.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.